Sugar Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play option. Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Matt,
Good morning.
how the heck are you?
It's Monday. Have had a break. It's markets down. What are we down? 1%? 1.5%? Haven't looked here yet. 1%.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
just a normal day in 2025.
TGIM.
TGIM. Hopefully
if
everybody
you-
got a break.
If you don't like breaks and you don't like not trading on a Friday and weekends make you sad because the market's not open, TGIM.
TGIM back on the grind.
So listen, it's not every day that we get to be just you and I. And that's, to be honest, days we don't like because we love Dan. And so
We
Dan's in Finland, on his way to Finland. And he will be back on tomorrow. He took my beard with him, and I didn't like that part. Stole it in the night. Like,
You're working on getting it back though already. I can tell.
well, here's the crazy thing. Like, I have no skill set as a man. I can't change a tire. I can't do anything really. I'm very, very bad at being a man. Except for in this one area. I shaved yesterday, and this is like my beard. I've got steroid beard. Like, I can grow a beard real fast.
You sure do.
So
That's not 5 o'clock shadow. That's shave at 8 a.m. and you got 11 a.m. shadow going.
Yeah, I got one of them men faces when it comes to a beard. So anyway, but we're here today, and a couple of things. Breaking news for those who didn't hear: Pope Francis passed away.
Wow.
So that was crazy. Saw him yesterday. I think one of the last photographs he had was with Vice President J.D. Vance yesterday. So he was doing photo ops yesterday. So that'll be a big deal in global affairs.
Sure will.
For those who didn't watch Conclave yet, this is your chance to see what it looks like on the inside. According to Hollywood.
Have not seen it. According to Hollywood. So this is going to be. So what it'll have in common is it'll have some of the names and some of the places that are somewhat similar to real life. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just
I don't
checking.
think they have dinosaurs in the actual Vatican.
Okay.
Help it vote, but whatever. For those who haven't seen it. To your Pacers, just kicked the living crap out of the Bucks.
Sure. Very enjoyable Saturday in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Battle of the small market teams. Yes. It was a beating not unlike the stock market has received this year. And it just
we'll get to that.
Thought there was a rally, but nope.
My Lakers got the crap beat out of them by the Timberwolves. But here's the nice thing: as a LeBron fan, I've seen this play out before. LeBron, this is a stat no one talks about. For someone who has won, to be honest, more than anybody in history as far as playoff games.
Yeah, but probably just games period at this point.
Yeah, games period, right? Points period,
everything.
Just he's better at everything. He's Thanos. He is very, very. His teams are not good on game ones of all series. Not just
interesting,
finals, but all
interesting.
Series.
I did not know that.
I have a theory about that he's such a student of the game that obviously I think they're trying to win.
Yes,
but I don't think they formulate a strategy until game 2. Sometimes
super
I think they
interesting.
I think they wait to see. I mean, I'm not saying they don't play hard. I'm saying I think people who are analytical, I think sometimes they have a tendency to overthink things game 1.
Yeah.
Until they see things play out. and then they kind of just take over. So,
well, there's the expression: the series hasn't started until the away team wins the game, and I guess the series has started. So.
Well, you want the series to go ahead and start. So,
yeah.
Speaking of the series starting, Dow. Who cares what the Dow's done? S&P's down 53 right now. I think we got down to a low of down 70, 52.39, I think, or something like that. Some point overnight. ES futures.
Oh, yeah, I've got to adjust my chart downward. Yeah, we sure did. 52.
Matt, here's where it gets really interesting, and you start hearing things about stagflation. Vol's up a little bit, but here's the thing: like, this is in some ways, I think, worst case scenario for people because, Matt, I looked at it Friday, and I'll be damned if I didn't realize that we're getting relatively close to the lows.
Yeah.
Of the sell-off.
Yeah.
And we've just done it quietly.
Well, closer.
Closer, yeah, for sure.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I think at this point that bounce is completely gone, right?
Yeah.
The bounce that we had. But yeah, I mean,
but it was a hard, this is I guess what I was saying. That would be a hard fade.
Yeah.
Like I think that probably got a lot of people. It got me. I mean, being honest, like that rally, at the beginning of last week, I was positioned for really kind of a neutral to continuation of the rally. Not looking for like 200-point moves, but thought we were going to sit still at 54, 5,500, slowly test 5,500 a couple times.
Yeah.
Like I did not expect to really do a quiet 250-point down.
Yeah.
Week. And so
it's
crazy.
I think the lows were like 58 something or 48 something. Yeah. So I mean, we're still a bit off the lows, but I mean, didn't we have a day last week that was like a 3% down to hit one point? So I mean, it's
even that though. I mean, like that was Wednesday. I think Wednesday we were down, but even the way they did that, because so like we were down 160, I think maybe 170 at some point intraday. And it rallied like 50 points off the low. And now normally in normal markets, you're looking at that and you're like, okay, well, tomorrow we're bouncing.
Right.
Thursday, Friday, we didn't do crap.
We didn't bounce. It didn't bounce. Yeah. And that low that it got to on Wednesday is about where we're going to open up today. We're going to open up about 52.20. So if we bounce hard off 52.20, I don't know if that means anything, but yeah.
I've got a 4-day Rick that ends today.
Same.
And need it to stay down.
Yeah.
We're doing fine right now, but I need it to stay down. And Matt, I mean, this is the thing. Jim Simons, these videos, I just watched these videos all weekend where Jim Simons says, trust the back test, more or less. And for those who are not familiar with Jim Simons, he was one of the most successful hedge fund managers ever.
Unique, truly unique.
Truly unique in the sense that he would just smoke cigs the whole time and talk about how his models, he was like the first guy to have models basically. And he just basically said like, the one rule we have is you don't not trade the model. You have to trade the model,
right. He was the OG of the TTBT mindset, I think, right?
Yeah. That's a mouthful. The OG of the TTBT.
It truly is.
So anyway, I mean, we got a crazy week ahead. We've got some earnings stuff coming out. Matt, do you do any earnings still?
It's been a long time. I will say this. In 2022 is when OO started. And even during the sell-off, there were some asymmetrical downside opportunities for earnings plays. And if anybody watched what happened with UNH last week, which I watched from the sidelines after the fact, I was not on this, but there were some asymmetric moves in the options pricing for UNH. And I just wonder if, the thing about a market like this is it seems like when these companies have earnings, there's obviously a pretty big degree at what the earnings report says, but there's an added level of what type of tape they're printing to. For instance, if you have a company that puts out earnings today and they're relatively good earnings, they're still going to be going against indices that are headed down. And so that can exacerbate these moves to the downside. I remember in 2022, I had a bullish earnings position, and the stock was up 10 to 15%, and didn't close my calls. I was feeling great, and it was in like fall of 2022, and we had like a 2 or 3% move in the market, and poof, gone.
Oh yeah,
Because what type of tape are those companies printing to?
Yeah, you kind of get these seasons in the market where best case scenario, like if it's a market where now we haven't had this in a couple of years, but for a long time this was the standard where basically you say like, hey, our earnings sucked. The market was just so high on itself that it was like, cool, you get 5% overnight. You get 5%. It's like Oprah,
right,
handing out 5%.
Right.
You're up 5% overnight, and you get seasons also, and we've had these a couple times in the past 2 years where the market's in a down trend, and basically like you have to have the greatest. You have to be like, we made $1 zillion cash.
Right.
Estimated earning was 30 cents a share, and we made $4,000 a share.
Right.
And it's like up 0.5%.
Right.
Overnight.
That's this is, and so in addition to the printing to the tape, you have the idea of printing to the macro environment, right? Like this week is kind of a nothing week as far as news goes, as far as economic news. Of course, we're in Tariffville here in Tweetville, so nobody knows what the news is actually going to be. But to your point, if these companies that have had good earnings, how much are they going to bake in uncertainty into their forward-looking statements, into their estimates, into their forecasts? How much are they going to bake in the R word? Are they going to talk about the R word and the potential, what that will be for their top line and their bottom line? Like it could be, this is the type of environment that we have a 60-point move down. Like when we had a 60-point move down in January, we would have talked about it for a week. Like, remember on Monday we had a 60-point move down.
Yeah.
And now we have that, and it's like, well, that's kind of par for the course, maybe a little bit lower than some of the mornings we've done the show. It's just not that substantial.
Well, speaking of that, let me show my old tasty tasty. I can't speak. My market profile has nothing to do with tasty trade. So this is kind of the level to look at today. This was Wednesday's low over here, where my mouse is. Futures 52.50. To your point, we're kind of right at that level. So today, what I'm going to be looking at on the open is they have to get it back into range. This range, and if they don't get back into range, the continuation will be down. So that's going to be a battle line this morning. Normally with this type of thing, I really look for them to if they get back into range to try to fade the gap. Fading the gap is tougher on a bigger move like this, but you would look, the next level would be like if they could get it to the low of well, the first thing is that if they can get to the low of Friday, so 52.85, and then what you would look at is to say if they could get it back into the value area of Friday, which is this green area, and then if they could get it to where most of the time was spent Friday, which that would be an update at that point. That I don't see that happening, but who knows? But they're going to try to do it. If not, to the downside, I mean, you got some stuff to go to all the way down here.
Yeah. Lots of targets.
Lots of targets to the downside. So anyway, the morning's going to be interesting. The first, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour. I look for this stuff if you're trading, if you're trying to scalp or something in the morning like this, just be patient on days like this. Take a shot if you think it's going to go back into range, maybe some of those targets or something like that. But don't just on open, it's up 5 points, think that they're rallying, because it can hang out longer than you have money, And so, anyway, let's keep going though. Today last week we looked at back tests that were super curve fitted, the most curve fitted to the Liberation Day crash.
There it is.
I really do hope we put it in the back test. For those who don't know who we are, you just found this on YouTube. We run a back tester called Option Omega, us and our trusty partner Rusty. And Option Omega allows you to test things with 1 minute data going back to 2013. And so you can test different situations, COVID crash, and you can say, what would my condor look like? What would my straddle look like? And today we're going to look at what would a butterfly look like.
Hit it.
Let's do
What
it.
type of butterfly are we looking at here?
Not that one. Not the one I'm showing you right
The
now.
market profile butterfly. It's a blue
profile
butterfly.
Let's do this. Can you see that?
Very red.
Okay, very red. So let's talk through this. In general, when you're trading a butterfly, your shorts are going to be at some point that you think the market's going to stop, right? In general. So if you're doing like a butterfly, you might say to the upside, and let's say we're at 42.50, whatever. You might have a 0-day butterfly that's 50 points up, and it's going to pay out massive if it's up. So where do you naturally go to in your mind? You say, well, I'll make the shorts at 5,300, right? Or something like that. You have some anchor point. I'm going to show you straight away what's hard about a butterfly to the downside with this type of move, and then things that you can do perhaps to alleviate that. So this is a butterfly, and what we're doing is we're buying a 5 delta put. It's a 7-day fly, 5 delta put, and the shorts are going to be, oh, son of a gun. This is the beauty of doing this live here. Let me do this real quick. This will help you. Let me actually make them 2 and make it a butterfly. There you go. Okay. Same concept. So you're selling 2, right? And you are buying one 200 points below that. Okay? Does that make sense, Matt?
Yes.
And here's the hard part of this. So this Liberation Day one here at the bottom, let's say you put it on at 9.45 when the price was all the way up yesteryear when we were at 56.10.
Yeah. It's a long way away.
Yeah. So the 5 delta is going to be 52.25. We're 400 points away. All right. And let's say you just let it expire. Well, we got close to that.
Yeah.
But it bounced out. And that's the thing with the butterflies. There's an element of timing that you have to have with them if you're going to let it ride that is really hard to do. It does introduce a level of kind of discretionary trading unless you make some adjustments. And what we're going to do with this adjustment is this. We're going to say, we're going to go back to here. And I'm going to change this because I need to add 2 and that'll help us.
And so this butterfly is because it's so far away. There's times when it's balanced or equal wings, and there's times when it's broken wings because again, your points are so far away and those exact strikes do not exist.
That's
wow,
exactly right.
That first one. Whew.
So that's what I want to look at.
Yeah.
That first one. And you look at it, you say, well, okay, well, that worked out great. Why did it go from being like a massive loser to winning on that first one? Because you started taking profit as you went. Because the thing with a butterfly, as this time is decaying, the gamma of that trade is getting more real, but more than that, the theta is getting more real too. So you get a pocket point of profit. And you want to be able to take profit as you're going down into that area. And so what I did is, because this was a curve fitted trade, I know exactly what it's going to be. You wouldn't know this in real life. And that's why data over a longer period of time is really helpful. But I said at 200%, take 25% off. At 1,000%, take 25. At 2,500%, take 25. At a 5,000% profit target, take 25 off. And I didn't do the 7,000 because I don't want to be cheap. Like, I don't want to just say like, hey, see? And so the main takeaway with this is when you're doing these type of butterflies, it's a mix of, you want to get paid for the least amount of money that you have to pay for these butterflies. You want to get the most money out of the least money possible. And how you do that is you take profit as you go. And really, what you, in a perfect world, what you'd like to do is quickly get it to where it's a risk-free trade, in the sense that you have paid your debit off already. Does that make sense, Matt?
Sure does.
Yeah. So, Matt, I mean, do you trade butterflies?
I don't trade butterflies like this on the regular. And not usually 7-day. I do an occasional 0-day butterfly.
Yeah.
And I don't do a lot of discretionary, but broken wing butterflies are kind of my discretionary these days because they're relatively affordable. If you want to adjust them, you can buy them broken wing, and then if it moves in your direction, roll them up and usually pay for itself, which is kind of the same philosophy as taking a partial profit, you know.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Or I do longer term ones that are, you know, longer than 7 DTE. But yeah, it's a super interesting concept. And so what are the Greeks cooking here with downside flies?
Well, because you've got all the legs kind of locked in at that point.
Yep.
You know, to some extent, you might get a little bit of IV help, but IV is not really going to help you too much in this regard with butterflies.
Hence the trickiness.
Just the trickiness. So what you really are doing is trading. You're trying to get something. You're trying to get something as close as you can to a naked put to the downside.
Yep.
For as cheap as possible.
Yep.
That's really what you're doing. And again, we showed this last week. With this type of move, I mean, to be very honest with you, it's, you know, we're not financial advisors, but we do know options a little bit. A butterfly is probably not the best vehicle for a downside move like that.
It's tricky. Like it's tricky.
Yeah. Now I will get crazy with the cheese whiz for a second here.
Do it.
Show you that what you might want to do is calendarize this. And I don't know if this is going to work or not. No, that's not going to work because we don't have enough money for it in the account. So let's do this. This is going to completely change the test, but I just want to show you something. Okay. So suddenly you are collecting a credit. You're like, well, that's better. Especially if you're just used to selling Delta, but not really.
No.
But I did show last week there's a way to do this that would have been very profitable, but not in this scenario, not under this test. And so there's things you can do, but in general, it's trickier. And I'll show you kind of why here. Instead of doing this, let's just do this. Let's just buy 7-day. Well, that seems better to me. Right, Matt? I mean, that just seems like that's a little bit easier. But here's the point of it, and why options involve risks and are not suitable for all investors.
That's right.
I can test this and know that would have happened because we have data. You did not know what was going to happen Wednesday when you put this on.
Yeah, and that Monday, April 7th, we were going to come within a hair's breadth of limiting down, right? I mean, that's kind of so far that April 7th was, I don't know if it was the exact bottom, but that was certainly Panic at the Disco, right? Was April 7th.
That's right. And so, you know, these type of trades, we'll look at a couple more this week, just because I do think it's an interesting point in history, you know, to talk about. But when you have those type of down moves, there's so many things happening in the Greeks that it opens up a lot of possibilities for different types of trades.
Yeah.
And so again, you're not going to run most of these strategies all the time, but if you could figure out a way, and again, well, I will say that Liberation Day was one of the most telegraphed crashes in history.
It was.
You either believed him or didn't believe him. That was
right.
The way, you know, you look at it. And so, but Matt, I mean, to the point now, I think the market believes, the market just doesn't know what to do. So
that's right.
Where we at? Let's do a future check. 56. See where we're at with the
60 points. Yeah, so we're gonna literally be right around 52.20 in that.
Yeah, we're right at that line like we
Yeah.
talked about. So, guys, listen, stay safe out there. We'll keep doing some stuff this week to look at the crash, and who knows? We might have another crash this week. We might have another 500-point rally this week. We're always one tweet away from
either one.
The abyss. I will close with what I thought was one of the most heartfelt Easter messages that I've ever seen from Donald Trump. And I'll just read this. It's okay. As people who celebrate Easter, I think you'll appreciate the Easter message. So, happy. This is not me. This is not Troy speaking. This is President
verbatim.
Donald J. Trump, verbatim from his True Social post. Happy Easter to all, including the radical left lunatics who are fighting and scheming so hard to bring murderers, drug lords, dangerous prisoners, the mentally insane and well-known MS-13 gang members and wife beaters back into the country. Happy Easter also to the weak and ineffective judges and law enforcement officials who are allowing this sinister attack on our nation to continue, an attack so violent that it will never be forgotten. Sleepy Joe Biden purposely allowed millions of criminals to ensure our country totally unvetted and unchecked through an open borders policy that will go down in history as the single most calamitous act ever perpetrated upon America. He was by far our worst president and most incompetent president, a man who had absolutely no idea what he was doing. But to him, and to the person that ran and manipulated the auto pen, perhaps our real president, and to all the people who cheated in the 2020 presidential election in order to get this highly destructive moron elected, I wish you, with great love, sincerity, and affection, a very happy Easter.
That's so similar to so many Easter messages.
Well, I was about to say, like,
there's no hyperbole.
I'm bivocational. I'm a pastor, and that I mean, sometimes the sermon writes itself. So, anyway, happy Monday to all of you, and we will see you guys tomorrow.